To the conversation, Yoram Schweitzer. He's head of the program on terrorism and low-intensity conflict at the Institute for National Security Studies. Yoram, pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Let me pose a big picture question to you. We hear everything we just heard about this operation from the Israeli Prime Minister, saying it's going to be broad. We know that Hezbollah has amassed an estimated 120,000 missiles. They have new combat training experience from Syria. Where do you see this going now?
I think Israel should and would do whatever it needs to protect its citizen and security borders. And Hezbollah, who is not interested in having belligerent acts with Israel, will swallow it. Maybe it will roar. Maybe it will let the Lebanese government and parliamentarians speak for him in order not to make it more tense. I think they recognize that Israel has the right to do it. Of course, they will protest. They will claim that it's in the Israel is penetrating the Shabba and whatever, but I think it will pass. Of course, it depends how it develops, but I don't think that Hezbollah is now interested in having another round with Israel. It just got out of Syria, paid a lot of price, exhausted its forces, and I don't think they're interested in if they are attacked, they will retaliate.
Judging by what the Prime Minister and the military chief of staff said, this has been sort of in the works at least since 2014, though. So what do you know about Hezbollah's ultimate intentions? I mean, when we hear Netanyahu saying this is part of a broader operation to enter the Galilee, to take over the Galilee, does that ring true in terms of Hezbollah's capabilities, too?
You don't have to be a historian and to have long memory to remember that Nasrallah threatened to occupy the Galilee. I don't think he can occupy the Galilee, but he can definitely and could have and hinted, implied that he could damage Israel in the Galilee, and now we see the efforts to do it. So it's not a secret, it's not surprise, it's not something new.
When we see questions over the timing, over whether Israel really did know about this earlier, because of course we've seen criticism on the Gaza front that Israel waited too long to deal with tunnels, do you think that there is some truth to that? Is there, should we be questioning the timing of this operation now?
The timing of the operation is one thing because it has also probably political elements as well, not only security. I think Israel realized the intentions, realized the operation. When it came to a fruition or to a certain level, then it needed to be taken care of. Israel took the measure. In Gaza, it was the same.
When we're talking about Hezbollah, though, a potential round of conflict is completely different, correct me if I'm wrong, from Hamas. We're talking about a group that is extremely powerful militarily, politically, that has a far bigger arsenal of missiles and rockets than Hamas has. What do you think a conflict like that will look like?
I think we should do everything that's in our power, not only Israel, but others as well, to prevent such a skirmish, as a violent round between the two sides, because it's going to be very, very devastating. It's not a secret. You don't have to be a military expert to understand the damages that can be happening. We need to remember and to realize that Israel is always blamed for both sides. Israel will have to suffer the consequences of the barrage of rockets, but also Israel will be blamed for the damages of Lebanon, and the damages will be very harsh. Because this kind of encounter, if it happens, I hope it won't, this is why we should do everything in our power, in the global assistance power, to prevent such a devastating...
Well, let's talk about everything for a moment. What does everything look like? For now, Netanyahu says the operation is on Israel's side of the border, but that could change.
No, look, there is a difference between what you talked about, a future possible encounter, violent encounter between the two sides that will amount to a war, or this kind of operation. This kind of operation is a local one. Israel will do what it needs to do.
Is it enough to get rid of this threat? Of these tunnels, potentially one, potentially more?
We are talking about concrete tunnel threat. This is not the major threat of Israel. The major threat is the hundreds of thousands of rockets and the capability and the precision of the rockets.
So what can Israel do about that? Well, you know, before we get to the missiles, I just want to show our viewers something in case they miss it from the press conference we saw a moment ago from the Israeli Prime Minister. This is the video he describes of cameras that Israel placed inside the tunnel that they destroyed today. This is what they say are Hezbollah operatives climbing through that tunnel that went about 130 feet into Israel and then promptly realizing what was happening and quickly running away. So that is a pretty dramatic threat. Yoram, when you're talking about the missile threat, is there anything Israel can do about that?
There's always the option of preemption.
Right.
This is the major dilemma, whether to preempt or to wait and hope that it won't, not only hope, but do things, take actions with the political activities and others to prevent it from getting into a situation when we have the need for eliminating it by force.
All right, Yoram Schweitzer, pleasure to have you here, get a little bit more insight on the potential future conflict there on the Israel-Lebanon border.